In the TDS Valentine's Day update, the devs not only added new and old Valentine skins to the game, but in the sandbox mode, they added back OG Hidden Wave and Golden mode to the game. Well shit, guess we can't play Hidden Wave for now, so only Golden mode remains. And since I have kinda made a reputation for making cheap loadouts, what better way to celebrate the return of Golden mode than to see what the cheapest loadout is for Golden mode. As it's been such a long time now, how do the modern towers fare against this ancient mode? So for my first attempt, I was going in blind, as it's been a while since I played this mode, and I was unsure what towers would be good for such an outdated mode. But I knew a few things. It was around the same level as Intermediate, as that's what basically replaced it in the main game when it came out. I can't use explosive towers, as the golden enemies are immune to them and do not take damage from explosives. But I had no plan on using any explosive towers anyway. Since I was able to beat Intermediate with this loadout, I decided to make some modifications to it. I decided to just bring the Hunter, as it had a long range and did a lot of damage, and then I brought the Soldier for cheap DPS. And by the way, because of how outdated the mode is, Golden mode was last in the game of October 2020. Yes, almost 5 years ago. And the minigunner, which was like everybody's main DPS tower at the time, had a DPS of only 44. In comparison, the modern day soldier has a DPS of 33. So in reality, the soldier is actually the best tower for the mode, as it had the DPS of some of the strongest towers at the time back in the day. And with this knowledge, I head into my first game of Golden mode for the first time in years. And in the beginning, it was just like classic Fallen mode. Abnormals, quicks, and heavies, the abnormal bosses, mysteries were back, and the Dark Necromancer, the basics. And on wave 20, we finally got some unique enemies, the Goldens. Yeah, you wonder why it's called Golden mode. But they're pretty slow and only have 200 HP, so the soldiers just shred them, and the hunters, doing 120 damage, almost instantly kill them. Then the chain boss comes out. It's basically like the slow boss of the mode, which has 200 more health, but is kinda small. And also look at this. If you look closely, you see it has a scar across its face, as if it was redesigned for the Frost Invasion update. Anyway, after these two, the mode was about the same as classic Fallen mode until wave 26, when these 1-foot fruit and cool icebreakers looking come out called charges, come running down the path. These are the mode's bolts or rushers, or if we're talking about classic enemies, then they're the glitches or shocks of the mode. But my towers absolutely shred them, as they were made for much weaker towers. Then out of nowhere, the classic tank came out, which actually surprised me and gave me somewhat of a challenge with his 6000 HP and fast movement. But he was not strong enough and died to my max level hunters. Now while I was pushing to wave 40 and trying to max all the hunters, I ran into some old friends. A bunch of Golden Crook bosses that decided to switch sides. And then we got to the final wave, where the Gold Titan and his guards came out. And, in my opinion, I like the gold guards better than the fallen guards. The angelic style of the gold guards was really appealing to my eyes, and I think in general they looked much cooler compared to the fallen guardians, both now and before. But they're much weaker, so they die pretty quick. But then we get to the main guy, the Gold Titan, and he's not too special to be honest. While I think his design is basic yet pretty unique as well, he doesn't have that many abilities. He can summon 24-karat enemies, the Golden Crook boss looking golden dudes, from the entrance, and each time he does, a random amount comes out. It could be 3 or 5 or 6, whatever. He spams this one the most as well. He can stab the ground, erecting gold spikes from the ground to stun towers, and the last one, he summons Golden Fist from the air to drop on towers, which is the one he used the least. And he doesn't have an animation for it. It just kind of happens out of nowhere. But yeah, mostly he just screams for 24 carats the whole time. And speaking of him spamming those enemies, that is the main reason why I lost my first game. He didn't stun my towers that much, but he kept on summoning his Golden Crooks, and they kept on distracting my towers by running ahead of the Titan. So when the Gold Titan was near the end, a batch of 24 carats ran past him and made me lose. And that's how I lost attempt 1, but I knew everything that went wrong. I adapted and used it for So, while my main reason I lost was the Gold Titan spamming his 24-karat friends, it also was money. Since this mode isn't a mode you could queue up to, you have to start it via the admin console in the sandbox mode. And I'm guessing the economy system was buggy because every single enemy only gave me $5. So, if I killed an abnormal boss, $5. A golden, $5. A 6,000 HP tank, an 1,800 HP chained boss, yes, I only get $5. And with this, I was barely able to get 12 max hunters by wave 40 with the wave bonuses. And after I did, I didn't have the money to get any soldiers, so my defense was kind of weak. But to counterbalance this, I just got the farm, because all 8 farms maxed out give me an extra $12,000 per wave, which would be a complete game changer. And I'm not being dramatic, it literally was. In the second game I played, first I decided to use time skip to get to the final wave quicker, because I already wasted my time getting through waves 1 to 39, and if I have the option to speed it up without buffing my defense, I think it's perfectly allowed. Yeah, but between the last game and this game, my final defense was crazy. From having a few max soldiers and having barely gotten 12 max hunters to having fully maxed out towers by wave 35. And on wave 40, I sold my farms, so I had 12 max hunters and 28 max soldiers. So was this much more beefy defense able to beat the Gold Titan? Yes. The hunters did the main damage to the Gold Titan, and when the 24 carats he summoned ran ahead of him, the soldiers just shredded them. So with them working together, I was able to beat golden mode with this loadout. Now you could say you should have just used militant, but that forgets the second biggest reason on why I lost. Money. So have fun trying to get 40 max militants for wave 40. And even so, it doesn't matter how cheap or expensive your loadout is, as this mode gives you nothing in return when you beat it. In fact, you have to pay $50 to play this mode. This was just me experimenting and having fun, than trying to actually give people advice for the game. The whole reason I did this in the first place was because I haven't played this mode in so long. And when I made the cheapest tower video, I wished I could have made a loadout for this mode, but I couldn't because by then, the mode was basically gone entirely from the game. Even the admins didn't have access to it. But I'm glad I was able to do this, as I personally like golden mode, and think the concept of it was pretty cool. It was the bridge between Fallen and Molten. Before fighting the Fallen King, you have to fight sentient gold that could resist explosions, so you physically couldn't bring a certain type of tower to the mode, which seemed pretty cool. And some of the enemies were the same, but they were also different for Fallen, but they also introduced you to them for the first time, so while it was easier than Fallen, it was still more challenging than Molten, as you had to deal with all these new enemies. And it was sad during the overhaul update, this mode was temporarily removed. Damn, that triggers some TDS PTSD. Yeah, they just removed it indefinitely, and then they just straight up removed everything from the game because the lazy devs at the time couldn't balance the mode because they said they were working hard on other things for the game. Yeah, spending 9 months on an update to make the militant 10 times worse was absolutely worth it. And now them adding it back kind of pisses me off, because if you were willing to just re-add golden mode back to the game to the admin console, why not just bring it back to the normal game? You should have just made it like it was the new casual mode, or just put it between intermediate and molten. You're telling me you couldn't just tweak a few models or make like brand new special units for golden mode? You couldn't restructure it a bit so it can fit in modern TDS? You couldn't do that? Is it that hard? You could make intermediate, you could rework molten mode, you can rework fallen, you can rework easy, you can stitch together a bunch of enemies and make a casual mode, but you can't remake golden mode? You have a much bigger dev team now. It shouldn't be that hard. I think you can do it. And don't tell me it doesn't fit the TDS style, because you guys literally have walking lava in a literal mode. So, don't even. With that rant out of the way, I'm just annoyed that they went and made like 20 new modes, but revamping golden mode was just oh so hard. But with that out of the way, I hope you enjoyed this video. Sorry I went on a little rant there, but I felt like I just kind of had to talk about it because golden mode was back and I just wanted to express my opinions on golden mode. but it was nice to play Golden Mode again. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell button so you don't miss any videos like this one. Comment down below, what do you think of Golden Mode? Should it stay in the admin console, or should the devs bring it back officially? And while you head down there to type your comment, I hope you have a nice, wonderful day, and I will see you next time. Bye!